Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to Fundamentals of Investments. My name is Dr. John Nyamunda and I am with Miss Yumna Gutta. You know us. If you have been attending this lecture, you know us, and we are going to take you through derivatives and a number of things. But happy Heritage Day to you. For all the students who are based here in South Africa, it's a beautiful day. Alan Watts said, "We seldom realize our most private thoughts and emotions are not actually our own. We think in languages and images which were given to us by our society. This highlights for us the value of our culture. Our culture is so important because it gives us the language and images which we actually interpret the world with. Earlier on, my children didn't think they belonged to my culture, because when they thought of culture, they thought of all the things which they saw when we went to the rural area. They thought they were cultureless. But the honest truth is nobody is cultureless. We all have a culture. And sometimes a culture goes wrong. Like in the madness which happened here in KZN in 2021, that was last year, when we started seeing things so differently. So in 2021, we saw the worst in people, like in Durban, we experienced the worst in people, but actually at the same time, we also experienced the best in people. For example, in 2021, when there was looting, suddenly we started to have to patrol the streets. So that brought us up as a community. And you know what? In my street, different cultures. So we go into that street and we are from different backgrounds. And the best thing, sometimes we think our culture is the best till you meet another culture. So in my street, it's actually mostly there's a Muslim community in the street. So we have to patrol this. So we have to sit around the fire together. And one of the days, a Muslim guy, brings his truck with bread and milk, and he's giving it away for free. And I'm saying, wow, I thought my Shona culture was the most generous, but now I met a culture which is even more generous, giving away us for free. So I said, okay, wait, I can't take your bread and milk because let me go to my house and get some money. No. This time for crisis, we are not selling, we are giving. And if you want bread, send me a WhatsApp and tomorrow you can come and collect more bread and milk for free. He didn't know me from a bar of soap, but it's giving for free. So that are the things which our culture does for us. So each culture has its artifacts or its things which are good, which make us who we are, the good things in our culture, as well as the bad things. So since it's Heritage Day today, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to reflect for maybe for a minute on how did your culture and religion help you to get where you are. It's an important thing to reflect on. And then in the same minute, what do I need to look out for in my culture? Because all cultures are great, but there are things which we need to be usually, especially cognizant of, aware of, so that we don't fall into unnecessary steps. So I will start this countdown timer, and when the minute is up, then we are on to something else. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The minute is up. So that was our reflection for the day. And we are going to do derivatives. We are not going to cover more derivatives. But Yumna, being Yumna is very optimistic. She has a lot of things she wants us to cover.
Yes.
So after derivatives, she thinks we're going to cover Gordon's models, and she thinks we're going to do the multiplier models. But I have my doubts, but Yumna is optimistic. Okay, but before we even start with the put call parity, I want you to answer that question on the chat. The question is, if the exchange rate is 1:1750, therefore, a person who earns 1,000 rands in the US is the same lifestyle as someone who earns 17,500. Is it definitely yes? Definitely no? Not necessarily. Make your choice, make your choice. If you are not seeing the poll popping up in front of you, you can just write it in the chat there. You can put your response in the chat. So we are saying if a person earns 1,000 in the US, is it the same lifestyle as someone who is earning 17,000? Because the exchange rate now is about, now actually yesterday it was almost 18 rand. Make your choice, make your choice, make your choice so that we can move on. We'll try to move a little bit faster so that Yumna's optimism is not just optimism.
No, I'm just saying that everyone must have, come with their brain switched on today because, we need it to be nice and clear. Don't focus on anything else, just the class, and we can get through a lot today,
Yes.
and it will help you.
So one of the conversations which we have between me and Yumna, because we don't only talk when we don't just have these slides and then we meet here. We prepare and talk and say, Kaya, what are we going to do? What are we going to? It's like the reflection was Yumna's idea. So let's have a meditation for one minute.
God,
To just accept, to just reflect on Heritage Day. It's Heritage Day. It's an important day.
very important.
It's an important day. We need to acknowledge where we come from and where we are going, because it's only when we accept who we are that we will get somewhere.
Definitely.
So, but we need to be. So when we are reflecting about what we are going to do with the human, we say we don't cover as much ground as we want because we come here with 30, 35 slides, and at the end sometimes we realize, oh, we only did like 20. So which means next time we'll talk about the same things. Okay, so if you can, let's respond quickly. Ladies and gentlemen, I can only see 6, 7 responses. I can see the full way has said no, so I chose for her. And let's see how many people we already have. Now we have 7 plus 6. The last time I did 7 plus 6 was 14. And we have how many responses? Here, 7, only half. Okay. So now we have 8. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so this is the reality. So to answer the question, a Walmart cashier in the US earns $2,700 per month, which is about 47,250 rands. So most of you are right in the sense that if you earn 1,000 rands in the USA, you won't be able to live. But if you were earning 47,250 here in SA, oh, you will be doing very well. So which brings us the issue, what you call parity. In the sense that parity is not equality. So when you talk about parity, we can say a cashier here in South Africa who earns 3,000 is more or less the same lifestyle, maybe less the same, but it's not too far from a cashier in the US. But in terms of the actual value of their current, of their salary which they get, it's so different. It's so different. If you were earning 47,000 here in South Africa, you are doing extremely well. Extremely well. You are a manager somewhere and you are doing extremely well. But So parity is not equality. But we are saying there's sameness or similarity. So parity is not equality. That's the one thing which I want to first talk about. To say parity is not equality, but to say similarity. Okay, so we are going to do with what we call put call parity. Put call parity. So we are saying if you wanted complete protection from risk, remember options give you the right but not obligation. So we say we have call option which gives you the right to buy at a certain price. We have a put option which gives you the right to sell at a certain price. So we are saying if you were holding the same asset and you wanted complete protection, you cover yourself to say if the price goes up, I want to maximize my profit. So you buy a call option. If the price goes down, I want to minimize my losses. So you buy a put option. So we say if it's the same asset and it's the same strike price and the same expiry or the same maturity date, there is a parity in the relationship. But remember, parity is not equality. So we say you buy a fiduciary call and a protective put. So if you buy a fiduciary call and a protective put, so a fiduciary call and a protective put are equal. Not to say the call is equal to the put, but there's a parity between a fiduciary call, which gives you upside potential, and a protective put, which protects you. So a fiduciary call is like buying a call, that's the CO is the call premium and the present value of a bond at the strike price, which is C call premium plus present value. And if you buy a protective put, we are saying you're buying a put option plus the asset. So we are going to say, if you held a fiduciary call, which is C plus X divided by 1 plus R, it will be equal to having a protective put, which is PO plus SO. CO being the call premium, X being the strike price, R being the interest rate or risk-free rate, P being the put premium, and S being the spot price. Mama. This is all confusing. But don't be confused because we are going to make it easier. So we are saying the easiest way to remember the put call parity formula. When I was in undergrad, like you are now, I used to try to memorize the call option, put call parity formula, and then memorize another put call parity. No, that was poor way of doing things. So I'm giving it to you easily. You just have to remember this formula to say CO plus X divided by 1 plus R equals to P0 plus SO. Then you do subject of the formula. Then you do subject of the formula. Then you do subject of the formula. So let's say do this together. Otherwise, I'm talking too much. The price of a European call is a strike price of 30 and expires in 6 months is R2. The underlying share price is 29 and the risk-free rate is 10% using the put call parity. What is the price of a European put that expires in 6 months and there's a strike price of the order? Yes. So we come to our formula and we say, what is the call premium? Here it is. We put it there. That is it. Plus, what is the strike price? The strike price we already told. The underlying, not underlying, the strike price is 30. The strike price is 30. So we say 30 divided by 1 plus. What is the interest rate? There's 10% there, 0.0. To the power of what? It's 6 months. So 6 over 12 is 0.5 because it's half a year. Is equals to, what are we looking for? Using the put call parity, what is the price of the European put? So we are looking for this premium. The price of the European put is the premium. P plus with a underlying share price of 29. You can see 29 there, you put it there. Now all you need to do is make P subject of the formula, which is simple because this 29 jumps the bridge across to here. And 30 divided by 1.1 to the power of 5 gives you that, and you end up with 1. I know. Ladies and gentlemen are saying, why is this still telling us? We already know what to do. This one is yours. This one is yours, ladies and gentlemen, and you put your answer in the chat. 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Okay. Refilwe has her hand up, John.
Oh, I wasn't even seeing it. Refilwe.
It's okay. I just wanted to check if you could just ask other participants to just mute because there's a baby talking in the background.
Ah, you are such a jealous person. You let the baby participate in the class.
I've got my own rascal here driving me crazy with the Xbox.
Yeah, the more the merrier.
Morning, John.
Morning.
I'd like to apologize about that, but I muted long time ago once I realized that I was on unmute. Thanks.
No worries. No worries. I know more. It's a blessing to be a parent, but it's a challenge to be a parent and a student.
Exactly. Thank you for understanding. Thank you very much.
It's a challenge. But also sometimes what drives us to be good students is being parents.
Definitely.
Because now we suddenly we have responsibilities. And we need to want to do well in life. Let's put our answer in the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a question, you can put it in the chat. If you have a question, Yumna is there to look at your question, and I am here to tell you stories. I am young, but I tell too many stories, Yumna. You might be tempted to think I'm an old man. That's still a bad temptation.
John, after the wisdom on that on that put call parity, I am beginning to re-guess your age, eh?
Really? Okay, don't even guess. 26. Don't guess.
Me thinking that's 26. After that explanation on put call parity, even I was captivated. I said, okay, great way to remember the formula as opposed to now,
You're supposed to remember 2 formulas. You just remember one and then make one subject of the formula.
Yes.
Then you're all set. And Yumna's generosity gave us the formula at the top. We don't need to remember it yet, but remember for the exam, it needs to be sitting in your head.
In your head, yes.
We tried to say, can they bring formula sheets in the exam? But the lecturer said, then everyone will, what's the point? Then everyone, it becomes too easy. Ladies and gentlemen, we are waiting. We are waiting. If you are not sure, you can ask. That's why we are here. That's why we meet.
Yeah, you're not on your own in this class.
That's why you come here so that you can ask live.
Good morning, Prof. Doctor.
Yes, let's go.
I'm looking at the formula sheet that Ms. Yumna sent, but I don't see the one that you're doing now.
No, don't worry. Let's not worry about too many things. Just use the one which is on screen. Okay. Yumna, I'm also guessing her age. I don't think she's as young as she says. Yumna says, let's just focus on what we are doing now. And then towards the end, we can ask all the unhappy questions we have.
No, but I'll have a look at it again. Sometimes, like I said, I'm not good with these preparing these sheets and that, but I'll have a look at it, but I'm sure it's a very important formula. It has to be there. So
it has to be there. Okay, I'll ask you the question which I asked you, Yumna, last semester. If you and I make a mistake, whose problem is it?
It's not here, ma'am. I'm looking again. It's not here. But
no, don't worry. No, don't worry. Yumna is going to look. I'm already asking Yumna a very philosophical question.
So nothing's going to happen to us, John. We're done with this module. We on the next level. It's up to
you are such a bad person. How could you make a mistake? Ladies and gentlemen,
the right answer. You're supposed
to the right answer.
Back me up. Yeah.
We are done with this module. If John and Yumna make mistakes, there are no consequences. You need to look and make sure that you are on the right path. We try our best. Not that we make mistakes deliberately, but we will make mistakes from time to time or omit things from time to time. But remember, the consequences are only felt one way, your side. Me and Yumna are having a good time when we meet here, and we try our best to support you. We do videos, we post formula sheets, tutorial letters, questions, answers. But ultimately, the result all in your hands, ladies and gentlemen.
Definitely.
That's the philosophical question, which Yumna answers. Like, that's why I'm doubting your age too.
No way.
Okay, let's see how many people we have now. Let's see our number. Now we have about 16 people, Yumna, in this class. And we were promised by some people distinctions, and it will be exciting to get distinctions. Did Anele post a response there in the chat, Yumna?
No, Anele. We got 4 responses here from.
4 response out of 16.
Hmm.
If you get 4 out of 16, that's 25%, ladies and gentlemen. Probably you won't even get a sub. You actually asked us to repeat.
Yes, Pumza just came in.
Did C. Van Zyl post anything?
No.
No.
We have Oprah, Melissa, Claco, Angel,
Okay. What about Gladys Chilone?
Centel. No.
Nothing. Oh, Anele now, see, she posted.
Yeah.
What about Gift Lala?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. What about Lerato?
It seems like
Nothing.
no, not yet.
Not yet. You know what I'm thinking, Yumna? I'm thinking
Yes.
of going to, my wife said the factory was closed. But after...
No shame, John. We got quite a few responses now.
Okay, let's go.
We don't need to.
I'll tell you about that
wait
factory
yesterday.
later. I'll tell you about that factory later. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you go to 8.71, you are on the ball. You are on the ball. But since you're on the ball, ladies and gentlemen, you know us. If you do something nice, we give you another question. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, Opa, we are back in business. Another question. Melissa, another question is up there. Clarko, another question, because I'm just calling out people who responded last time. Angel, another question is up there for you. Humza, and the rest of you, ladies and gentlemen, another question. To just show you how to use the formula in an easy way, put call parity. Fiduciary call is equal to a protective put. Okay, what I was telling you about. So I was looking at the list of names, Yumna. That's why I was telling you about the factory which is closed. And I saw a beautiful name, Lerato. And none of my children are called Lerato. And I think I'll do well with a Lerato, I think. So I'm going to Lerato.
John is after you.
So I'm going to ask my wife if she could reopen the factory so that we can have another child. And you know what we're going to call her? Lerato.
No, John. Yeah, I don't know how your wife's gonna handle that one. Eh?
I think maybe she will say, let's open the factory. Who knows? We'll say three children is not enough. My wife, now we got a new name. Let's have another girl.
Considering you're only 25, John.
Yeah. Yes. We did them quickly. And my wife quickly closed the factory at 25 too. So we had to, my wife is 26 and I'm 26. So we quickly closed the factory. So I'll ask her to reopen.
Yeah.
Oh, so, now there's someone who's answering.
Hold on.
Okay, let's go and mute. Let's go and mute
Okay, so John, while we're busy with with doing the question, I just had a look at the formula sheet. So it seems like this put call parity formula, maybe the one which you've posted up is a nice easy version of it.
Yes.
So the one that I've posted up probably is like from the textbook or so, but
Yes.
it's still the same formula. Basically, what they do is, sometimes you'll be solving for the call premium, sometimes the put premium, sometimes the price. So you use the same formula, but the subject will always be changing. But very rarely will they ask you. It's normally just the premiums which you are going to get. So that's how the formula changes. It moves from left to right and right to left. But what I'll do is I'll load a new formula. I'll load the same formula sheet, but I'll change it to this one, the version which you have, because it's quite simple.
It's simple. Yeah. For me, I saw for simplicity. When I put up your formula, is the one which when I was doing an undergrad Yumna, that's the one I always used. But after spending time with the module, I thought this one would be easier to remember because it's one formula for both.
Yes, definitely. So I'll change it to this one, and I think it will make your calculation much simpler.
You're such a nice person, Yumna. You can just ignore it.
Yeah, no, but we'll change it. We want to help you guys well and right to the end.
But don't listen to me. I'm not a nice person. Because you have two correct formulas.
Yeah.
And these ladies and gentlemen are adults doing this thing part-time, so they know that the world is not perfect.
Yes. So with this put call parity, you're gonna the formula comes. It's not incorrect, the formula in the formula sheet, but
It's
this
not.
one which John has got is an excellent one. This one is a winner for getting your distinction.
Yeah, but you know what I realized, Yumna?
Yeah.
I was teaching standard deviation a certain way for years.
Yes.
And I was convinced that was the easiest way of looking at it for everyone.
Yes.
Only, I think, 2 semesters ago, I realized, no. The way I was teaching it is not the easiest. It was confusing to students. So probably your formula is better than my one, the simplified one.
But that's the thing about this, is that and even just generally in life, you improve as you go along.
Yeah, but sometimes you're stuck with things which you think are simple, like my formula, my approach to standard deviation. My approach to standard deviation calculation was, it would definitely give you a right answer, but it was very difficult for students because it had too many steps.
Okay.
So the same one with this one. Probably your one, it might be easier for people to memorize 2 formulas, one for call and one for put.
Yes.
So don't remove your formulas. You can just add this one if you want.
Okay. Yeah, so you can see, and then that's why we like some feedback. I encourage you guys to engage so that we can help you better, because when you're sitting on the other side, just a single person with no feedback, there's not much that we can do to help further. Our help just stops at a certain point.
And also, we are so perfect when we don't have feedback. We say, oh, you know what, now? We are so great.
Yeah. And
okay.
Yeah, the response is not always prompt, especially from me. I mean, everybody has got a busy life, but we'll always respond. Or even if you have to, just send a message again, please don't, don't feel conscious online. Just
post something.
Yeah, post something.
Okay, we have enough responses, Yumna. Let's move on. Let's move on. I think it's people are correct. It's 1.41. Ladies and gentlemen, 6-month European put with a strike price of 100. So sales at a premium of that. There's a risk-free rate of 5%, blah, 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 blah. So we say, what are we looking for? It's a call option. Plus, What is our strike price? 100 divided by 1 plus 0.05 to the power of half, because it's 6 months somewhere. 6 months European is equals to 3 is this one, the put premium, plus the spot price is 96. Where is 96 coming from? Here it is 96, which when you do that, we then make that subject of the formula, it gives us 1.41. My question to you, ladies and gentlemen, for those who haven't posted, do you want us to do it step by step, or you are happy to move on? That one is a question for people who haven't posted, because all these clever people, Angel, Anele, Rowan, Centro, I wouldn't care what you say because you got the answer right. So I'm assuming you are Opa, all these clever people. Melissa, don't even answer me about whether you want step by step, because you know what I'm confident you know what you're doing because of your right answers. For those who didn't respond, should we do it step by step, or you think you are on the right path? Let me know in the chat. Let us know in the chat. Lerato, happy to move on.
There's your answer, John. It's your Lerato speaking.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, now you remind me of that factory which needs to reopen.
But I'm glad at least it's a better responses this week than last week with options, call options and put options. It shows that people have been working.
Oh, Refilwe wants to do step by step. Refilwe wants to do step by step. And I always go with someone who wants to do step by step. Yumna, can you see my spreadsheet which has come up there?
Yes.
Okay. So we are saying, we are using this formula, ladies and gentlemen, and it's saying using the put call parity, calculate the equivalent value of a European call. But we know, so our C is unknown. Okay. E plus our strike price, the strike price is 100. So we have our 100 there. E divided by, let me do this, open bracket, 1 plus, what is our interest? 5%, 0.05. Equals to the, no, sorry, to the Yumna, don't leave me making mistakes here. 6 months, ladies and gentlemen, is equals to 6 over 12. Sometimes you see me put 0.5 because 6 over 12 is half.
Is equal to 0.5.
So we are saying equals to, our formula says P, and we are told that our put premium is 3, which is there, is equals to 3 plus spot. Current share price is the spot. Current share price, ladies and gentlemen, is the spot 96. So that's our formula. So to make our life easy, ladies and gentlemen, even easier, I'm going to solve this one first. How can I highlight it? This one, this piece. That's what I'm going to solve first, because that might be the confusing part. Because that's this one, the 3 plus 96, we know that equals to 3 plus 96. We already know that is 99. But I want to solve 100 over 1 plus 0.05 to the power 6 over 12. So I will say equals to 100 divided by, open bracket, I hope that divided by is the correct one, 1.05. 6 over 12, ladies and gentlemen, is equals to half. So I will raise it to the power of 0.5. So you see there what happened there? So that's what we go. So now we have C plus 97.59 is equal to 99. Ladies and gentlemen, so because 97.4 is a positive, it jumps over the bridge, it becomes a negative. Therefore, is equals to, wait, no. Let's say C is equal to 99 minus 97.59, which is equals to, C is equals to 99 minus 97.59. Are we feeling lucky, Yumna? Do you think it's correct? Enter.
Yes,
It's correct. It's our lucky day. We do it on the fly and it works correctly. Any more questions? Is it clearer now? Is it clearer now? Okay, let's see. The young ladies on.
Okay. So the next section we'll be going on to, since everybody is okay, put call parity is definitely going to score you guys a mark. But let's go on to option bounds, right? So if you looked at your derivative section, there's many calculations. So what I thought was, let's just cover all the calculations. You won't always be asked all, but you need to know all of them. So I'm not going to spend too much of time on it. I'll just brief you guys on option bounds, right? So what is the option bounds actually is the range value in which options can trade without the possibility of arbitrage, right? So the call premium and put premium can't exceed certain values, right? Or they can't cross over to certain values in a case where you know, it's a perfect market, and there's no possibility of arbitrage, right? So basically we have a little table here, and this is a good table to keep in your mind because it has the formulas for call option upper bound and lower bound, put option upper bound and lower bound, right? So in the call option, we have the call option premium is less than or equal to the spot price. It can never exceed that value, right? And then that's on the upper bound. That's the most that it can go to. And then on the lower bound, it comes with a formula, right? So your call option is going to be greater than or equal to, so it can't be less than your spot price less your strike price times by 1 plus the interest rate to the power negative t, right? So when you get this negative t, sometimes it can even be, they'll put it underneath s minus x with a positive t, right? Or they'll put it on the other side with a positive t. This is just basically some basic algebra, but I don't want to confuse you with that, so you just stick to this. Spot price less your strike price, 1 plus r, right? On the put option side, right? The upper bound, the put option will not exceed your strike price plus 1 plus the interest rate to the power negative t, right? It will never exceed that amount. And on the lower bound, you say that your premium, your spot premium will never be less than your strike price less your strike price plus 1 plus the interest rate less your spot price, right? So these are just some basic formulas you'll need to substitute in to calculate your upper and lower bounds of your call and put options, right? So the best way to explain this is using an example, right? So we have calculate the lower and upper bound price of a 3-month European put option. So we're looking at the second line of our table on a non-dividend paying share when the share is currently trading at 50 Rand, right? So that's your spot price. The strike price of the share is 55 Rand. So you have the option to sell at 55 Rand, and the risk-free rate is 8% per annum, right? So all the information will be given. You need to just understand what is given so that you can substitute correctly into the formula. So we look at the lower bound first. So we go to our put option, we look at the lower bound, right? So we say P is greater than or equal to your strike price, which is 55 Rand given to us, right? Then we say 1.08, which is 1 plus our interest rate, right? And then it's to the power negative 0.25. Now, where did I get the negative 0.25? They say this is a 3-month European option. So I say 3 divided by 12, which gives us 0.25. It's quarter of a year. 3 months of the year is 1 quarter of the year, right? less your spot price, which is 50 Rand, right? So we solve for that, right? Basically, when you are inputting your negative 0.25, normally you would say to the power 0.25. Now you'll say negative 0.25. It actually reduces the amount. It brings it back to present value, if to understand it better, which takes the 55 Rand strike price to 53 Rand.95, less your spot price, which is 50 Rand, gives you the lower bound of this is the least you'll pay for the premium, which is 395, 3 Rand 95, right? Now to calculate the upper bound, look at the next formula. So the upper bound is your strike price, 1 plus R to the power T, right? It can never exceed this value. So we substitute into the formula. The premium is less than or equal to 55 Rand, which is your strike price, times 1.08, which is 1 plus your interest rate, to the power again negative 0.25, which gives us 53.95. So your premium can never exceed 53.95, right? So it's a simple calculation, and you would choose the option number 2, which is the correct answer. So it's not too complicated, and I feel like I can give you a practice question to calculate. So I didn't give you a practice question. Okay, but let me find out if everybody is okay with option bounds. Then I can move on to option delta. Do you think I can move on here, John?
Let's just ask them if they are clear.
Are you clear on the option bounds? I think the main thing is that you need to get this table. This table gives you the formulas, but basically, even if you look at the answers, the lower bound is working out your actual premium price, like 3.95, and your upper bound, it can't exceed your strike price, brought to the present value with the interest rate.
Looks like we have 2 responses. Yes, we are very clear, Going once, guys, going twice, 3 times, all gone. Let's move on, Yumna.
Okay.
Take it away.
So then the next simple calculation which you have in derivatives is called option delta. Option delta is the change in price for every option for every 1 unit change in underlying asset, right? So if I can just give you a little bit more information on what that means. Do you remember when we did bonds, we did this duration and convexity? So we said for every 1% change in interest rate when it comes to convexity, what the price will change. Now in this case, this is a similar calculation, less complicated of course, but what they're trying to say is that for every 1 Rand, let's work with rands because we're in South Africa, that the asset the asset in question changes, how will that affect the price of an option, right? So you calculate that using option delta, because now if the asset goes 1 Rand up, how will the premium, is it going to increase the demand for the premium? Is it going to decrease the demand for the premium? So the premium price is now affected, right? So let's look at an example to clearly understand what I am saying. Assume that at the end of 4 months, the price of a share is currently trading at 80 Rand. It will either move up or down by 5 Rand. So that means it will go to 85 Rand or 75 Rand, right? Calculate the delta of an at-the-money European call option with the strike price of 73 Rands, right? So you have an option delta formula here, right? Option delta, which says F plus, right, is equal to your spot price less your strike price. Your positive F plus, we're working with the situation where the asset price moves up. We plus 5 Rand to it, right? So we're looking at the plus situation, right? So on the right hand side, I got the formula for delta. But on the left hand side, you have to calculate this F plus first. What does F plus say? It says S plus less your strike price, right? So your S plus, right, which is your spot price less plus 5 Rand gives you 85 Rand, less your strike price. So F plus will be 12 Rand. We've calculated it, right? Now we want to calculate F minus. This is when the price goes down by 5 Rand. So when the price goes down by 5 Rand, we say spot price less your strike price again, and you get 2, right? So we put a 2. 12 minus 2 is our numerator of this formula, right? Then we're calculating S plus and S minus, right? Which is simple, 85 and 75, right? Which is 80 Rand plus 5 Rand, 80 Rand minus 5 Rand. You put that in your denominator, you get 10. So you'll say 10 over 10, which is 1. So that means that the premium will change by 1 Rand for every 5 Rand it moves up and down. 1 unit change in the option price. Okay, so it's not a complicated calculation, but you must remember to do your F plus, F minus. Your S plus, S minus is quite simple. You put it over each other in the delta formula and you get an answer. To interpret the answer, 1 for every 5 Rand move in the price of the underlying share, the premium will change by 1. Option 3. Okay. So how was that? If I can get some feedback.
Are we clear, ladies and gentlemen? I will Isibongile.
Yes, Ibon.
F minus, Miss Yumna, that's 75. You said it's what? 80?
So F minus, right? You'll say your spot price going down. So 80 Rand less 5 Rand, right? Which gives you 75 less your strike price,
Okay,
right?
all right.
Yeah. So it's like, it's not very complicated, but you just need to remember what to do. What does F plus and F minus mean, right?
Any other question, ladies and gentlemen, before we move on? Yes. Going once, ladies and gentlemen. Going twice, ladies and gentlemen. Going 3 times, ladies and gentlemen, and it's all gone. Okay.
Back to John. Put your guys the best thinking cap on.
I'm just pausing here, Yumna, so that
Yes.
people can to
Yes,
just
yes.
keep so that people can breathe a little bit.
Yes, no, but you know what? I should have actually uploaded those videos you gave me. So that would have really contributed to a greater understanding, but I will do so this week.
No worries. Don't worry. I hope we will do a decent job. I have load shedding at 10, so I have about 10 minutes to explain this. But then I will, by that time they will be doing a question, so I will switch to my alternative internet.
Okay.
In case what happened last week happens again, lose connection.
Okay.
We do what we can.
Okay.
Yeah, probably Gladys has a question.
I'm fine.
Yes.
I don't have load shedding, so yes.
Lucky. So you are still
My
there.
load shedding was early this morning, but you know, I even to do this presentation, my times were just not meeting up with load shedding this week. The time which I'm free was load shedding. So yeah, but let's look forward to a better week.
Yes, and okay, let me start with a question. Ladies and gentlemen, you know me, I always start with a question. A question from the young man, this young man who found a new name for a child and is thinking of big things. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if the interest rate of your vehicle loan is fixed and the prime interest rate increases, my loan monthly repayment dash dash dash. There's a pop-up which came up there in your chat. A, B, or C. If you don't see that pop-up, don't even worry, just put it in the chat. A, B, and C. A, B, or C? Okay. This is where, while we are waiting, this is where we need a baby to shout something in there, to call the mother and all those things.
Someone needs to unmute.
And the baby will be crazy in the background. The mother is trying to concentrate. Life is hard.
Yeah.
One of the things which I always told my children, please finish your studies before you have children. Don't do what I did. It's not easy.
Definitely, yes.
But so far so good. I can see they are in one is finished and one is in third year. I haven't seen a Mzukulu yet. You know what a Mzukulu is?
No.
Mzukulu is a grandchild. So I haven't seen a Mzukulu yet. Okay.
So John, Lerato for the grandchild it's gonna work for you. Lerato, you can entice them now.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so you are saying stays the same as it is fixed. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what you're talking about. So we say, okay, variable interest is linked to a benchmark. So when you hear that prime has gone up or prime has gone down, you know that your repayment is going to increase because it's linked to a prime. Then it's a variable interest. If it's fixed, it means even if prime goes up and down, you are set. Some years ago in South Africa, it used to be easy to get a fixed interest rate. At some point, I got a fixed interest rate. It was very high. It was like, I think they were charging me like 12% fixed interest rate. So, but prime, I didn't care about that prime story because I was always doing well. But most loans now in South Africa are linked to prime. So when like what they did recently when they moved the prime to by 0.75 up again, it means your repayment for your car loan and your repayment for mortgage is also gone up. You know that, ladies and gentlemen. Now that gives us a preamble to what interest rate swaps are. So we are saying we have a company A and we have company B. So company A can borrow at a variable interest rate from lender A, but in fact they want a fixed interest rate. Company B is forced to borrow at a fixed rate, but they want a variable interest rate. So since they are finance people, since they have these students like Ruan advising them, Ruan says go and get a swap. So what they do is they exchange the interest rates. So every month they exchange the interest rate. So A pays the fixed interest to B. B pays the variable interest to A. But remember, their obligation here to their lender doesn't change. It remains there. Their obligation to the lender remains. So that's what makes it this agreement is the swap, is the interest rate swap. Okay, I have a video there, but I can't play that video because I don't want load shedding to start when I'm playing a video. Otherwise, everyone will be stuck. Okay. So there's another type of swap called a currency swap. A currency swap, very similar, but it has 3 stages. 3 stages. The first time we have 2 companies, one US company and another is South African company. Unfortunately or fortunately, South African company wants US dollars. The US company wants to borrow in rands. So what do? The US company borrows 100,000. The SA company borrows 1.7, which is more or less the exchange rate. So what do they do at the beginning of the period? Then they exchange that amount. They swap the amounts. So every other month, the South African company pays interest in rands to the US company. The US company pays interest for that loan. But their obligation, ladies and gentlemen, remember that obligation doesn't change. At the end of the period, which is at maturity of the loan, they re-swap the loan amount so that they can repay. Okay? 5 minutes to load shedding. That's the background. Those videos, when I send to you, when we send the slide, there are videos. They listen to them. They're really good explanation of what interest rate swaps are. Okay, but let's do a question together. So we have two companies. The table reflects two different companies. We have company X and company Y. So company X can borrow fixed at 10.4. Otherwise, it can borrow floating interest at 9.4. Company Y can borrow 11.4 fixed or 9.8 floating. So what can they do, these companies? So we say determine the comparative advantage. So if you look here, you can see that company X actually borrows cheaper for both cases, for both there and there, for floating or fixed. But can they make an advantage? Because they exploit an advantage here. Yes, they can. That's what we are trying. So they determine the comparative advantage that will be shared by both companies should they end a swap agreement with intermediary, someone who is facilitating the swap, netting 0.2 per annum. Assume that company X requires a floating rate and company Y a fixed rate. Also calculate the effective interest owed by company X and company Y respectively. So the first thing you do to find the comparative advantage, 10.4 minus 11 gives you 1. 9.4 minus 9.8 gives you 0.4. So we are saying in the fixed arrangement, company X can pay 1% less than company Y. In the floating arrangement, company X can pay 9.4, can pay 0.4 less than company Y. So what they should then do is to company X goes and borrows the fixed interest at 10.4 because here they have a higher advantage compared to the floating rate. And company Y goes borrows this 9.8. So the total advantage would be 1 minus 0.4, which is 1 minus 0.4. But because of this angle called 0.2 intermediary, you reduce that advantage, that 0.6 advantage by 0.2, which is that one, gives you 0.4. So the advantage per company would be 0.2, which is 0.4 divided by 2, this 0.4 divided by 2. So company X pays 10.4 minus 0.2, this one. 10.4 minus 0.2, the advantage. So 10.2. Company Y, 9.8 minus 0.2 gives you 9.6. So option B. This one, and this one. Any questions? Any question, ladies and gentlemen? Any question before I give you your question?
Okay, so John, your slides have gone off.
My slides have gone off.
Yes.
That gives me an opportunity to no.
Is it
Okay.
not gone off?
No, load shedding hasn't started.
Okay,
Opa, are you seeing my slides?
No. Okay, I'm sorry, that was my mistake. I pressed something that I wasn't supposed to.
I can see.
Okay.
Okay. No,
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll go. Okay. Okay, that's your question. But before I do that, you know what, Yumna?
Yes.
Let me change one thing here. Let me change one thing. This is your question, ladies and gentlemen. In the meantime, we can work on it. Let me make sure that when load shedding starts in a minute, I will be ready.
Okay.
Okay, let's share. Let's reshare. Let's reshare. Where are we? Let's share this screen and do this. Okay. Now you can see. Not 100% back. I need to come actually change the network.
Okay.
Still not no load shedding, but in the next second or so it will go. So let me. Okay, you can still hear me, Yumna?
Yes.
Yes.
Still on that.
Okay. Now we are waiting for load shedding with crossed fingers.
How do you feel about this load shedding? Do you think this employment of independent power producers is going to solve the problem?
You know what someone said recently? They said, that whole issue about independent power producers is the thing which is causing load shedding.
Is it? Oh, it's a political.
To try to force the hand of the government.
Okay.
But I think if it's privatized, I think it will work.
I also feel like if you can hold a private company responsible, because this is.
Yeah, they can fire the CEO. There's no politics, and you remember what happened recently, which was really disappointing. At ESCOM, one of the private arguments they were having, they are losing technicians. That's a fact.
Yes.
So one of the managers says, the other challenge we have is we are losing technicians. And that became a political statement. I'm saying, but if you are losing experienced people, you are losing skill. No,
Yes.
but the issue there was all of a sudden it turned to political. Now we are saying because we have black technicians, so they are not skilled. I said, oh, Lord help us.
Okay.
Someone without experience is without experience. If you are losing technicians, you are losing technicians. That it doesn't need to be black or white.
Yes, yes. The experience and the skill. John? Oh, it looks like John's load shedding has kicked in. We're not hearing John. We have a look here.
Yes, Yumna.
You're back online. We lost you.
Yeah, because I lost in internet for whatever reason.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's been quite I don't know, like I've just been listening to the radio, and it's scary because even like last week the network was okay, but this week I can see like things are going down. Even
Yeah.
suppliers can't supply product. It's you can see it's going to have a very bad effect going forward as well.
It will have a very negative.
Yeah.
It has a negative effect. These ladies and gentlemen, hopefully they are not just listening to our conversation. They are waiting out. I can't see any answer there. Can you see an answer there?
No answers, yes. So
No answer.
maybe even just any feedback on what's holding back the answer.
Do you think it's Opa, what's happening there? Are you on your way to getting the answer? Opa is not responding. Let's ask. Refillway. Maybe it's just the two of us left, Mumna.
No, it's not. What's the Java rate?
What is the
Jimba, oh, it's
No, not in terms of what is it like explanation, but what is the current rate so that we can be able to say X plus.
Oh, the one at the top there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me give you a big hint. So the difference in the floating rate is 1%. It's like saying, so the only difference is Jiba plus 1 or Jiba. So someone is borrowing it like prime, and another person is borrowing it prime plus 1. So the difference there is 1%. I hope I gave you a big hint there.
So you don't have to worry about the JIBA rate.
Yeah.
Okay, Okay, so at least we got some answer and one answer from Sent.
We have one answer. Opa decided to ignore you now. Now she's not talking to you. She was before you joined, she was saying, I don't want to talk to you now. That's what she was telling me.
Okay, was your initial conversation with Opa?
Yes, yes, yes.
All right, but
And who else was in? He was there listening. Who can say? Who will say what I'm telling is true? Van Zyl. I don't know what the same first name is, but the only thing which I can see is Van Zyl. He or she was there in the conversation, and I think he will just say yes, true, true. John is telling the truth. Opa didn't want to talk to him now.
why is the only person who responds to my tutorials? Can't believe that, John. She's the only
I
person
don't believe it.
responding and putting in all her answers. Scans it, write it on a piece of paper. It's super impressive.
Yeah, I mean, actually, she makes me say, I think actually it's good to be a student again.
Yeah, inspiring.
She's really motivated to do the right stuff. Were you a good student, Yumna?
You know, I was quite a good student from because it's just how I learn. I can't learn. I don't have any self-discipline to learn through correspondence. So I was at every lecture. Hey, I would learn face, with a conversation and face to face. So I can say that my undergrad, I did it quite well. The only thing I didn't do was my business information systems, which I'm really paying for now, because that everybody got the same assignment, and you just decide to be a little bit, in your first year you want to just enjoy yourself and not put too much pressure on you. But that was a mistake, I can tell you now. And yeah, but I always was a good student from school. And then I, like in our culture, like you saying, you must study, finish before you have kids. Now here they tell us you must study, finish before you get married. Now I didn't do so they said, no, just complete your studies and then you get married. But I did get married after my undergrad, but I did my honors through correspondence in through UNISA, and I was married and I moved away from the city. But in the year I was doing my honors was this World Cup, 2010 World Cup.
Yes.
Then I signed up for 5 modules, but then luckily I realized that I'm not very self-disciplined and I cut it down to like 3 in 1 year and 2 in the next year. But just made it, because I can't do things on my own. I need to attend a lecture, and I need to get a face-to-face explanation, have a conversation. That's how I learn. And how about you, John? You seem very disciplined.
Honestly, I'm disciplined, but when I was a student, before I started my undergrad, I was a terrible student in the sense of I had wrong beliefs.
Is it?
In the sense that I thought people were born bright and others were born average and others were born dumb. And that was a poor belief system, which I was holding on. And I blame my father for that. I don't blame myself.
Yeah, no, we can never hold ourselves accountable, but it's the culture, that's like you're saying, that's what comes with culture.
Yes, the bad things which come with culture. When I was growing up, it was so bad that they would say, this family, the Nyamundas, us, are very good in school. But there were other families in the village who we would say they are not good in school. You can imagine a child under that circumstance.
Yes, definitely. Especially
Nobody
when
is putting an answer there.
Nobody.
People are listening to our story. That's the problem. Ladies and gentlemen, we are enjoying ourselves here, but we are supposed to be working. Okay. What were you saying, Yumna?
No, No, I'm saying like at least now at least we realized that was
Yes.
incorrect, and with our children, we try and not,
Yeah, to
carry on belief.
perpetuate the problem.
Yes, yes. So that's,
But I like the way you said in your culture you can't get married before you have a degree. I think I like it.
I don't know, because it's not like that should be
I'll
holding
tell
you
my
back.
daughter. I'll tell my little one who is in the grade 9 now.
Yeah.
Nobody gets married before a degree.
Yeah,
What
no,
are you going to tell your husband?
yeah. I'll just tell you that, like the culture we can change, but the rebellion in a girl, just rather don't say anything.
No. Okay, I have a way. I have a way. I,
You don't know
you
these
know what?
girls.
You know what I tell them?
Yes.
The Nyamundas are hardworking people. I don't know what Nyamunda you are if you are not hardworking. So this one I'll say, and the Nyamundas, they don't get married before a degree.
Okay. Shame. Don't
That's
do
what
that
I'm
to
gonna
a
say.
girl.
From what you told me, that's what I'm going. Because culture, sometimes you have to twist culture a little bit, tune culture so that it teaches what you want to teach.
Yeah, you use it to your advantage.
Yes, well, how could she know what happened in the 90s when she wasn't born? So she can only take it from me. The Nyamundas, all my sisters, degrees before they got married. I don't know what you're doing here, my baby, when you're giving me 60%. What are you going to talk to your husband about? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on.
Okay.
I can see only, okay, next. Oh, okay, now we have a new problem. Oh, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, assume company B. Is the question all right?
Practice question.
It's the same question.
Uh,
Determine the individual comparative advantage. Ladies and gentlemen, you left one more step. One more step. When you ended at 90, that was the total comparative advantage. So we say here 6 minus 8. Oh, you got, for those who attempted it, they got 6 minus 8, 2. Here 1. So 2 minus 1, 1 minus the intermediary gave you 0.9. That's where you stopped. But the individual comparative advantage, we're supposed to divide by 2 and get 0.45.
so the correct answer.
That would have been the correct answer.
Okay.
We have 15. Do we have a question?
Yeah, question from Center.
Santel, you can go ahead.
Hi, sorry, that was a mistake on my end. I just realized that it was the individual comparative advantage. Like Yumna said, this is like word problems we must read.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you can see the answer there. You see the problem there. All the answers were there. If you just say 6 minus 8 minus 1, it would have given you 1 and you would have said B. It was wrong. If you say the 6 minus 8 minus 1 minus 10, which were perfect, it would have given you 0.9 C, but it was wrong because of Yumna's idea of word problem, individual comparative advantage. Any other question, ladies and gentlemen, before we go to the next? Do you think people are tired now, or we can make use of these 16 minutes left?
No, I think we can make use of the 16 minutes.
And do the discount models.
Discount models, yes.
Over to you.
Okay. So now we've closed the chapter on derivatives. We've explored every calculation in that section. So now we're moving on to your dividend discount model. So this is a model which you'll find in chapter 5, or is it study unit 4? Yeah, so study unit 4, chapter 5, and it goes with the section valuations, right? So what we're doing is we're trying to value assets, right? So the way in which we can value the assets is using a dividend discount model, which calculates the price of a share based on its future earnings. And what is your earnings from the share is your dividends, right? So we know the value of a share, the value of an asset is based on the future income of the asset, right? So the dividend discount model is a calculation used to determine the value of a dividend paying share, right? So it takes into account the growth of the dividends and it works out a value for the share, right? So you have your constant growth model where the company is not growing at the moment. You have some stable companies, they're not in the growing phase, so their dividends are quite stable. They grow at the same rate every year, right? So you have a formula for the constant growth model, which is quite simple, and it's V is equal to D1 over K minus G, right? So D1 is your dividends in year one, right? So you'll always be given your current dividends, which is your dividends in now, and you'll have to calculate D1 by taking your dividends and adjusting it with the growth rate, right? When we do an example, you'll understand better, but always remember it's D1, right? And then K is your return, which is you'll be given, they say, you know, the required rate of return is certain percentage. And then you have your growth rate, which will also be given, right, in certain cases. And you say your return less your growth rate, and you divide your dividend divided by that gives you the value of the company, right? So it seems like my slides have just adjusted a little bit, but we can just have a look here at the two formulas at the bottom, because now you have a company which is experiencing growth, right, before stabilizing, and that company, you have dividends growing at two different growth rates, right? So it's a two-stage dividend growth model. So the value will equal to your D1 over 1 plus K to the power 1 plus D2 1 plus K to the power 2 plus your price, which you calculate using the constant growth model, right, over 1 plus K to the power 2. So basically what we are doing in this formula, which I've written down here, is you are calculating your dividends before they stabilize, and you bring them back to the current year using your present value factors, right? So this 1 plus K to the power 1, 1 plus K to the power 2 is your present value factors. So basically what you're doing is, this is the amount you're going to receive in the future. You bring it back to the current date using present value factors. What is the present value factor? It's 1 plus K, which is your required rate of return. For year 1, it's to the power 1. For year 2, it's to the power 2, right? Then once you calculate your price, which is in the second year, because dividends are growing just once before it stabilizes, you bring that also back 2 years to the current year to work out the current value, because you see our V is on V0, which means the current value of a share, right, are based on future earnings, right? Then you get a 3-stage dividend growth model, which can be even more than 3 years, where dividends change twice in growth form before stabilizing, right? So basically it's the same concept. You'll work out each dividend for each year until the dividends stabilize. And then you will work out your price. You can only work out your price once dividends stabilize. That is, the growth rate becomes constant. And in that year, you will bring back the price and the dividends to year 0 using your present value factors. So we can go on to the next slide where we will look at your constant growth model, right? So we have Zolvo Limited will pay a dividend of 2 Rand per share next year, right? So this is not this year, it's next year. So your D1 is given already. That is expected to grow at a constant growth rate of 5%, right? It has a required rate of return of 9%. Calculate the intrinsic value of Zolvo Limited using the constant growth model, right? So here it's a simple example which I found where you are given D1. When they say this is the share for next year, I've highlighted it in red, that's your D1. But just say they told you that the current dividend is R1.20, right? How will you calculate your D1, right? Basically what you'll say R1.20 times by your growth rate, 1 plus your growth rate to get your D1, right? So that's how you calculate your D1. But here it's given to you. It's a simple substitution. We say 2 Rand, which is your D1, over K minus G. Your K, they told you, is your required rate of return, 9%, less your constant growth rate, which is 5%, which gives you the value of 50 Rand per share, right? So now I'm giving you a little bit of a complicated, not a very complicated question, but this is what you can expect when you are being tested for constant growth model in the exam, right? So we have Black Limited has a current dividend of R1.20 per share, and that it is expected to grow at a constant rate, a growth rate of 4% indefinitely. So indefinitely means going forward it's growing at 4%. It has a beta of 0.9, a risk-free rate of 7%, and the return on the market of 12%. Calculate the intrinsic value of Black Limited using the constant growth model, right? So as you can see here, I haven't given you the required rate of return. But if you remember, which you should be well versed with now, is Chapter 3, Unit 3, which is your calculating your required rate of return using your CAPM formula, right? So your CAPM formula is your K is equal to your risk-free rate, which was given to us, plus beta times your return on the market less your risk-free rate, right? So you have to basically work out K, right, using this formula. Then you can substitute into your dividend growth model. And now they tell you the current dividend is R1.20. So remember that you have to use D1, your dividends for next year, to get your true value or your value of Black Limited. So if you can please try to attempt this question. You can ask me if you are unsure about anything, but let's try and attempt it and find a value for Black Limited. You can put your answer in the chat.
Yes. My load shedding started some time ago. So now I am limited to what I can do. I am used to clicking around, but now I can't click because I only have one screen.
Okay. So John, I need to sign up with you on a business information system lesson. I need to catch up with it. Yeah, I'm going to write an email and request a lesson from you.
Yeah, we can. You know what we can do, because of the technology has moved to far. We can just spend an hour just going through stuff and yeah. But actually, what would help would be if we, let's say, if we did another lesson which you want to do, to spend an hour doing together. Then it's always useful to do things which you want to use. Because one weakness of like going for an Excel lesson, pure Excel lesson, before you want to use it, it's pointless because you forget.
Yes, yes. That's the thing. You need to be practicing to be able to learn what you have, or to, to put into practice what you've learned. That's how it stays in your brain.
Because there's an adult, you don't just learn for fun. Yeah, no, learning for fun.
Yeah.
It's not, but I learn for fun, but it's not the most effective. No, actually, the most effective way of I learn, like now I'm learning, what am I learning? I'm learning public speaking. That's what my new thing now. Remember, I'm not studying anymore.
Did you need to learn for that, John? You're natural. Natural.
But you see where you can, it's always you find out what the very effective people, what do they do? That's what I'm trying to, that's what I'm learning these days. This is what I'm trying to learn.
You're improving on it.
Yeah. So what I was trying to say is when you are trying to use it. So I had a presentation which I needed to give last Sunday and this week. So the lessons I was learning actually were very useful because then I could incorporate what I was learning to the presentation I wanted to give.
Okay.
As opposed to just learning for learning's sake.
So like even like here, once we're done with this class, don't be like me, close your computer and carry on with something different. If you have the time, make sure you come back or do something very close to this lesson or practice your put call parity before the end of tonight or at least by tomorrow early morning. And you know, the results will be a lot more effective than by going to it next week Tuesday, because yes, that's exactly the truth of how you can learn better and more effectively. Okay, so we have the answer of 16.
We have a few answers. Do you want to go, because now we are left with about 4 minutes? Do you want to discuss the results?
Yes, we can do that.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Okay, so the first thing that you do is you calculate your K.
Oh, wow, you see, that's why Dairo didn't want to talk to you.
You see, Opa, she's on my same page. She knows. She's done the
so you can
tutorials.
afford to ignore
So she's
it.
practiced well.
Okay, you can go on, Yumna.
K formula, right? So we say the risk-free rate is 7% plus, then you say beta multiplied by your market risk premium, which is 12% given the return on the market less your risk-free rate, right? 12 minus 7 is 5 times by 0.9, right? Plus 7 gives you 11.5%, right? Now we go on to our dividend growth model because we've solved for all the variables to substitute into the dividend growth model formula, constant growth model formula. So we say DO plus 1 plus G gives you D1, right? So we say 120 is our current dividend times by 1.04, which is 1 plus your growth rate, 4%, right? Divided by the K you calculated, 11.5%, less 4%, which is your growth rate, right? Then you'll get 1.248. You should get 1.248 after you've solved for D1 over 0.075, which gives you the value of the share of 16 Rand 64. Oh, Opa was off because of load shedding. So any questions on this constant growth model? We can take 2 minutes of questions.
Yeah, because I don't know whether we'll be able to cover the multi-stage or two-stage discount model, because you are left with 1 minute.
Yes, no, and you know, we'd rather take enough time.
Yes.
It's a 3-step process, a lengthy step process. So
that confuse people. Then we don't want people to live with confusion.
Yes. So are there any questions here on this constant growth model? Because I saw Central got 16, Ruan got 16, but I'm not sure how would you get 16.
I think they just ignored the 6.64, I think.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. They just said, 16, good enough.
16, yeah, round it off.
Yeah, yeah. I'm tired of these people talking for too long. Okay. Okay, let me ask you, since when everyone is listening, it's always good to ask you now when everyone is listening.
Sorry,
Are we?
Do you mind if we take Central's question first?
Oh, yeah, Central, yeah, 100%, yeah.
Thank you.
Hi. So it wasn't really the rounding off that I did. It was the I didn't multiply the dividend by the growth.
Okay. By the
you did by D1.
Okay.
Yeah. So it gives you 16 when you do that.
Okay. All right. So now you know you need to. It's a simple rectification.
Yeah.
20 times by 1.04. Okay. No, that's great. So that's Central and Ruan. Those are the steps that we need to take. Okay.
Any more questions before I ask Yumna a question? I wanted to ask you about, are we seeing these ladies and gentlemen on Wednesday? Because next Saturday you are not there.
Yes, so can we get some feedback? Because I'm ready for Wednesday. I'll be available Wednesday evening for some classes.
From 6 to 7:30. Let's do. Yumna is not there next Saturday. She's doing some great stuff again. Yumna, its life is great. So you make us jealous.
Yeah, no, I can't
So we are
complain.
saying instead of you missing the class completely, we can do it on Wednesday,
On
6 to
Wednesday.
7:30.
Because, like, guys, we don't have much time. Before the exam, we want to cover as much as we can.
Yes.
So Wednesday evening.
Yeah, because the other option is very unuseful in the sense that we skip Saturday and we meet another Saturday, two Saturdays from now. It means we can't cover that. We can't cover what we could have covered on Wednesday.
Yes. So does that Wednesday work for you, John?
Wednesday, at your command, I have to be there.
Okay. Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Okay,
So on Wednesday, I think we are going to use this same link. The same link seems to be working, Yumna.
Okay.
For the but I will do. This week I was forgetting stuff. I think I'm getting old. I'm getting old too quickly.
27, John. 27.
27, and I'm already behaving like an old man. Okay,
Yeah.
let me. Do you want to put anything on record for the people who are going to just listen to this? Do you have some words of wisdom which you want to share before I stop the recording?
No, I'm okay, John. Just that Wednesday evening, if everyone could meet us here, and then we can have a nice flow for the lessons. But you can share with us something.
Oh, words of okay, so that you start thinking that I'm an old man. Ladies and gentlemen, today is a day to celebrate your culture or your heritage. Let's amplify the positives in our cultures because every culture has some great positive things and sometimes not so useful, some negative things. Let's ignore the negatives and amplify the positives. And like Yumna was saying the other time, we need to accept each other's culture because we live in this beautiful country called South Africa where we have so many cultures. But most of these cultures, they converge in the sense that we express different things differently. But in terms of humanity, we kind of want the same things. But let's amplify what's good about our cultures and let's overlook the things which are deficient about our culture. Otherwise, for the record, enjoy your heritage day.
John, you gave your age away.